SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E. E, how are you doing today?
Hey, Bob, I'm doing great. How are you? And how's everybody out there in SimWorld? I hope you're all doing great as well.
Well, I'm doing great as well. This is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E, I'm the Fat Man, and this is the podcast we talk about whatever we want. Today,
Mm-hmm.
E had a good idea. Let's talk about some
Oh,
unpopular...
sound more
Well,
surprised.
it's not surprising. Not surprising at all. Let's
Oh,
talk
okay.
about some
Okay, good.
unpopular opinions. What's
Mm-hmm.
unpopular opinions you have right now for this upcoming
Well,
SimWorld Prep season?
well, for the SimWorld Prep season, one unpopular opinion I've had, or at least I don't hear a lot of other people out there talking about it, is that largely unloved Indie Stripes franchise, I think they're in position to have a strong year. I like the pieces they put together. A big part of it is going to be JJ Hoops coming back. You remember that Hoops and Killins have that tie-in together, and Killins is kind of risen to certainly the marquee level, but JJ hadn't quite got there. But I think chance for him to break through. Reza Red, this will be his third SimWorld season. Big boy holding it down there in the post, and I expect him to be, not a 20-point scorer, probably not this level, maybe not ever. But to play defense, to get rebounds, block shots, create a lot of havoc, I can see that. And then, I think just the pieces around this team, some returning, Lee Alric, Andrew Gibson, but also some interesting new ones coming in. Maybe one of the biggest ones. At the same time, like I like this piece, it's also maybe the riskiest bit in my sort of Stripes optimism is CJ Green. 5'11" point guard who's about 150 pounds, at least if you dump a bunch of water on him and weigh him right then. Soaking wet, he might be 150. Only 15 years old, but has some skills, can play this game, is a good ball handler, decent athlete, good defender. I don't know if he's going to start at the start of the season. The Stripes have a few players that can handle the rock, but I think that he is built to do that for this squad. We'll see what Coach Tim Schumacher wants to do, but this is my unconventional, maybe unpopular opinion. I think the Indy Stripes are going to be a player this year.
I think the biggest question mark is going to be whether or not they can get the most out of Reza Red. I had high
Yeah.
expectations for him in season 1, season 2.
He was only 15. He's
Yeah.
17 years old now. He shaves. He has insurance and a couple kids probably.
But I think that'll be the biggest question mark, though. Like, Lee Ulrich's good, Gibson's good, JJ Hoops is good, but they really need that inside presence. I don't know if Gibson is necessarily that inside presence alone.
Uh,
Um,
Agreed.
I
Yep.
really think it's gonna be based solely on if Coach Schumacher can get Reza Red to where we think he could have been as a senior now. I just I don't want to throw the same category, but he's facing to right now for me of season 3. He's been here for 35 years, and we just haven't seen what we thought we would see from him.
I understand that. I understand that. All right, well, let's keep it in the SimWorld domain, Bob. That was mine. Go out on a limb for somebody here. What you got in an unpopular opinion?
Oh, I think Asia Pacific's going to blow people away this season.
Oh,
I think
wow.
Asia Pacific will finish uh, the season in the top 5. They overall they have the size advantage, and obviously size isn't everything. But have the size advantage. They get an article coming back. All of us as a player. Uh, I think people look so Asia Pacific. That's going to really, and it's going to allow them to blow some people away this coming season. Maybe they'll get off to a slow start in the beginning because they did lose a talent to SimWorld
Sure.
U. But I think with Fields returning West there and some of the additions with Chan and Chen and the Fangs,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talent there that people are going to overlook to start the season, and I think Asia Pacific's going to make a splash.
Three 7-footers there. They're going to present some problems for some teams. There's going to be some matchup things. I love actually that we're going to have some real different philosophies. You can see it in terms of team construction that are going to be happening in SimWorld Prep this year. In Asia Pacific, taking on like a Bay Area Breakers who don't really have a true center on that squad, not a true traditional one. And nothing wrong with either strategy. It's going to be fascinating to see it come out head to head and over the course of the season. APAC, interesting. I'm not sure if outside of Fields, if their bigs are talented enough necessarily. I mean, you can't teach size, and that makes a difference out there. And there are a lot of question marks outside of Oliver Lest and Leonardo Fields coming back. So we'll see. It's definitely a good one to pick, Bob, for a potentially unpopular opinion. APAC to rise among the SimWorld global teams, but maybe taking it out of the prep realm, or even basketball, or even sports realm. I don't know where you might go with this. What do you got for another unpopular opinion?
It's unpopular because there's always talk every year of this particular team doing something in SimWorld Youth Football. But I think, I don't know. This is a tough one because I can interchange two different teams and have this exact same conversation. So maybe I'm going to double dip. Maybe I'll double
You
dip.
can give somebody an honorable mention. You can give somebody an honorable mention for sure.
What I'll do is I'll double dip and I will pick the SimWorld Youth Football Playoff Championship Game. How about that?
Okay.
Texas versus Tennessee, with Tennessee coming out on top.
Wow. All right. I'll give you points for bravery and courage.
With the way that Georgia played against Kentucky, at the time of recording this, that game is still going on. But with the way that Georgia has played against Kentucky, losing at halftime, losing for the majority of the game, they'll figure it out. Georgia, they might figure it out. They might have to suspend their whole team for speeding violations and DUIs and all that stuff, but they just can't keep themselves out of trouble. But yeah, I'm going to predict the Texas versus Tennessee SimWorld Youth Football Championship Game.
Wow. All right. That's a brave one. I mean, I can't get there with the Vols. I love the bravery. I'm not there yet myself, but maybe, hey, that's why I asked you to make a gutsy call and you did one. Texas, I definitely like them. They're watch some of them over this weekend. Obviously UTSA, not necessarily your top tier. You can see them again in the playoffs kind of competition, but just obviously
Arch Manning came in and was more proficient than Quinn Ewers was.
Ewers threw a bad pick. Ewers didn't necessarily have the game of his life out there, but the Texas team from top to bottom, defense and everything, no doubt that they are a player come the end of this year. Well, Bob, I'm going to close the show with a fourth and final unpopular opinion among the two of us, and I'm going to completely take it out of the world of sports and move it into the world of culture, pop culture, very specifically. And I was watching the VMAs. Not live, but I watched a good bit of the VMAs actually recently. That happened, of course. Wait a minute. Would that be the SWVAs? Bob, can you weigh in on this? I don't know. Does that? I'll call them the VMAs. But anyway, I don't think it'd be a controversial opinion to state that the same way I talked about we have our golden age of SimWorld Prep big men right now, we also have a golden age of female pop titans right now. And I don't think anybody would necessarily argue strenuously with me on that, because I think you have the big two, right? And again, I don't think any of these are controversial. Beyonce, unbelievable, in terms of like career and what she's done and what she brings and what she puts out there. And in the same regard, Taylor Swift. And again, it's not like about you have to like either of these individually as a musician, but you have to respect what they do. And what I was reminded of at the VMAs is, there's somebody who, in my opinion, deserves equal sort of tier status with them. I'm not saying she'd rank one if you put them all in a list, but in putting them in tiers, like fantasy football tiers, right? And I think that's honest to God, Katy Perry deserves it. She is the Deadpool of pop music. She brings maximum effort all the time. And Beyonce actually has that gift as well. Who doesn't is Rihanna, but we'll leave that out of the equation for a moment. But in terms of catalog of songs, what she's done, and again, I just respect sort of how much. I get the feeling that Katy Perry would be happy to leave a pint of blood on that stage if it meant pleasing an audience, pleasing the viewers, whatever it is. And I respect that in whatever you do, whatever you pursue. If you have that kind of passion and you have that kind of willpower and you put in that kind of effort, I have to tip my hat to it. I am here tonight. Katy Perry, put her up there in a big three, Beyonce and Taylor Swift.
I'll take your word
stunned
for it.
he's silent. Bob's so stunned.
I'll have to take your word for it. I didn't watch the VMAs. The only thing I know about the VMAs is that Eminem performed in the beginning. Outside of that, I couldn't tell you what happened.
Yes, he did. And you know what? And M was fine. But Katy brings it. And, again, I'll throw another sort of half unpopular opinion out there. Katy Perry's Super Bowl halftime show is the second best Super Bowl halftime show ever, only topped by Prince. Because again, she brought it 100%. She bought in, she sold out, she did something that was perfectly appropriate for the Super Bowl, the audience there, and she gave maximum effort. Deadpool, 100% of everything she had. And that's kind of what she did to the VMAs too. She put on a great show. Am I saying she's the greatest singer ever? No, I'm not, whatever. But maximum effort. I respect it.
Sometimes the show is just as important as
The
whatever
showmanship
artist is playing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
So,
Well,
I think this was kind of fun, Bob. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I did. We'll have to do some more of these. I'm sure once we get into the season and all of our picks sports wise start falling apart. Because let's be real, I don't have any faith that Tennessee is going to make it to the
I was thinking, we could schedule. We could schedule a look back show in the future, but then I'm thinking, nah, let's not do that. Let's not do that. No.
Only if we look good. Only if we look
right,
good.
Right. Okay, fair. I like it.
All right, E. Well, I appreciate you as always. Do you have any final words for the people?
Yeah, people, maybe the Hoosiers are real. Football, Indiana Hoosier football team looking pretty good. Crushed UCLA. And look, I know UCLA is not good, but hey, they went to the Rose Bowl and did it. And they're my Hoosiers, and they're 3-0. Maybe we got something here. New coach, Kurt Signetti. Go Hoosiers.
I'll be honest. This year, if anybody is going to win the Big Ten that isn't Ohio State or Michigan, this is the year. It really is. Everybody, I think, from top to bottom, it just seems like all the teams are struggling with teams that they shouldn't be struggling with. But I guess we'll see. I mean, right now it looks like Indiana, they might be. It has more to do with how many games they've played, but they might be the number one team in the Big Ten right now. I mean,
hey, I just want bowl eligible at the end of the year. I'll have a smile on my face. Anything on top of that is gravy.
Well, E, I appreciate you as always. Everybody has a great weekend.
Later, folks.